Hey there YouTube, this is Wheelchair21 and this is another rolling review. On today's rolling review, it is the Ressha Gattai Volume 3 Mini-Pla set for Shield, Fire, and Police Reshas. Originally, I did not intend to buy these because there was no practical use and need for them. They're probably some of the less used Reshas in the actual show, and could have been orchestrated to be used a lot better rather than how they will be when the Hyper Ressha comes out. The green one is already known as Shield. It's pretty cool. It actually has a nice, great design. And it's actually one of the better looking ones. It's one of the only ones that actually looks straight up like a normal train. You have Fire Ressha, which is the fire extinguisher and fire hose cars built into one full Ressha. It's really cool. It's really neat. It's actually my favorite out of the two alternate auxiliary mecha, just because, you know, it has a fire extinguisher for a weapon, and those are commonly used in wrestling. And then Police, well, Police has an awesome basic design. Reminds me kind of like the trains from Transformers Robots in Disguise, but also reminds me of the Transformer of Prowl, just because of how basic white, black, and gray he is. The cool thing is he comes with a built-in gun, which is also based straight up on Deca Red's gun. It is practically the same mold and model, even in the deluxe toy, just changed gray and blue. And it also has a nice little handcuff. Personally, it's the design alone that helps me like this one, but its overall look when applying it to the actual mechas look gaudy. Now, first off, Shield Ressha. It's the first one introduced in the show, and it's actually a nice-looking Ressha once it finally opens up to reveal its somewhat shield form. Now, the only flaw I have with it is that the stickers kind of rub against each other and get warped off, so there's this little gap right here where the sticker kind of tore and was warped on the figure. And it looks nice like a foot, almost. It kind of really looks like a foot when it's opened up, and that's why I kind of like this, is it can maybe double later as a foot joint if possible, if need be, but they're probably never going to do that. And it replaces the front end of the Pink's Ressha. Once popping off, this simply pops right back in, and it even still has its elbow joint built in. It still has the elbow joint built in, and as you can see, this Mini-Pla set is kind of bad because it gets loose, it gets weak, and kind of falls apart over time. Honestly, though, I do like the Shield because of how it has the actual stoplight system built into it. It's an absorbing mechanism that absorbs beams and fires it back. I don't think it's really logical because of how small this shield really is. I don't see the use to it on how it can really deflect a lot of attacks or blasts. I don't think it's an orthodox shield whatsoever. This is more of an offensive beam type technology to help, you know, stay on the offense rather than the defense. It does help, though, with blunt attacks. It is quite strong, and it's been seen used fairly a couple of times. Second, we have Police Ressha, which, as I said, has the cool little gun and nice handcuff, which also has to clip on using the basic junction points for when you remove pink and or yellow now. And with the claw for the actual handcuff, instead of having it look like this when it's in the full form, you actually rotate it to either look like this, like a nice halo to capture a villain around the neck or a limb, or straight up like this, as long as this little piece right here, this little cod piece, stays up to tell you that this is the top or the outside of the hand. It's kind of like its fingertip to tell you which side is which, to tell you which way it's supposed to be positioned. Personally, once applying this Ressha, it looks a lot nicer. It looks a lot more smoother on the robot than it does as an actual, I guess, would you say Ressha when using its weapons, when it's in its actual train form. When it's using its weapons, it's more practical, being only applied to the mecha itself. And overly, I do have a better liking for it. I just think it's a little unconventional, just because the gun is a reuse of the Deca Rangers, I should say Deca Red's Magnum. It just has that generic shape to it. I just don't like that it's just a straight up reuse of a previous existing toy and or theme in the show. But, I mean, it looks better on ToQ-Oh than it really would Diesel-Oh, because next up we're going to go right into our final Ressha, Fire Ressha, and you'll see why it's a better Diesel-Oh piece than it would be possibly a ToQ-Oh. To end this review, pretty much all you have to see is Fire Ressha. Fire Ressha, like I say, is probably my more favorite Ressha, just because it is a fire extinguisher. Its hose is kind of cool. It's kind of lame, though, because even though it extends out and reveals a full hose-like mechanism, I feel like the whole length of the bridge is kind of crazy, because I don't know what I don't really see the use for it. I mean, it's great that it actually is that straight-up tower like they have on fire engines and stuff, but it's just crazy to have, because I don't really think this becomes a real rifle in robot form. But, it just replaces the front end of the Diesel Ressha, and it's an easy swap. However, since Diesel-Oh doesn't really have good joints, the joint systems are kind of flawed, because you can only use the hose extended to show off its elbow joint. Since these are pretty basic support Ressha, and pretty basic Ressha's in general, there's not much to say, because, I gotta say, for evaluation time, they're nice, they're neat, they're hard to get, because Shield Ressha is actually a hard variant to get in the boxes. It's actually overrun by police or fire, depending on the boxes you get. Shield's like 1 or 2 per box, or every other box. You'll have a variant of maybe getting 2 of him, and you'll have 3 of the other pieces. I don't really like how the box is set up because of that. It made it hard for people to get it. And originally, there was no reason for people to have these things. They were just useless support Ressha that may be neat or fun to have if you're a kid in Japan who likes the deluxe mecha or something, or just wanted something a little bit more for the figures. Unless you really want to complete the series, that's the only way you should really buy these. It's going to be hard to get them now, especially with Shield, especially because the boxes are out of print or discontinued. So, if you know a middleman, try to find them, and try to help them locate you an actual Shield, Police, and Fire Ressha set. I got this from a friend of mine called Pokelector, who also goes as ToQ-Lector now. Anyways, this has been the rolling review for Mini-Pla Ressha Gattai Volume 3. It comes with Shield, Police, and Fire. You can find reviews like this here on my YouTube channel, or on here at ToQ.com. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share my videos. Follow me on Twitter, check me out on Instagram, and like I said, here at ToQ, we're with heroes. We always got great information, got news and articles and reviews for people to check out. And always listen to our podcast hosted on Raijo Nihon. We'll see you next time with another rolling review.